Great, everyone. We're going to get started in today's very unique situation where I think a lot of people are actually a little bit confused about today's market because kind of everybody is saying that, hey, property prices is a bit too high, and will surely drop, right? So this is what I think in the marketplace, a lot of people are very confused about. And a lot of times these are all in the headlines, the newspaper headlines, the online headlines. So the question is this what the headlines want you to believe? Also, I'm not saying that the newspapers are incorrect, but I believe that as a working professionals and a busy homeowner, many times we take a lot of all this information very surface. We only read the headlines. We did not go deeper into the studies or even the articles. So my role as a consultant is always to kind of dive in deeper to kind of pull out what are the missing links there. And in today's video, I really want to kind of address this question. I probably you have been hearing a lot of people saying that, wow, property prices very high, it's becoming very unaffordable, and prices will drop soon. Agree? So where is the truth in this? So instead of guessing, right, and just by looking at the headlines, I've got real data that we have researched to show and prove it to you what is actually happening in the marketplace, right? That's where you as a homeowner, you are able to make decisions. You're able to make sense of what is happening in the marketplace. So despite all the cooling measures and rising interest rates since 2023, home prices are still climbing, okay, and they are not stopping anytime soon. So in this video, we're really going to break down the real reasons why this is happening, and also backed up with data, the insights, and what the mainstream articles and news are not telling you. Okay, so if this is your first time here, I want you to kind of press the red button to subscribe to the channel, and you want to put on the bell button, click on it, so that anytime when we are doing live streams or even videos that I upload, you'll be notified of the latest property information to keep yourself updated and stay relevant in the property market. The headline says that the prices are too high, or will they fall? Okay, so we're going to break down what's really happening in Singapore's property market. And also, again, we're going to look back in the past of what the history is telling us. That's the second thing. And many of you have seen articles like this regarding the property market, what is actually happening. Okay, so will Singapore property prices continue to rise? You see, so this is, I think, one of the key issue that everybody is looking at. And are there actually signs that the prices are coming down? So we're going to really deep dive deeper into what this article is about. And then from there, you want to continue staying tuned, because at the end of the session, at the end of the video, right, I'll be actually sharing with you where is the demand actually coming from? Is it really due to FOMO? Is it due to developers buying the units? What is happening that our property prices are staying very consistent, very healthy, even in today's? So when property news come out like this, right, let's do a TLDR first. Okay, for this article, you can see that the flash property housing HDB index is highlights that the resale prices surged about 9.6%, okay, in 2024, and it almost doubles up the 4.9% increase in 2023. And the private housing market, while it's a little bit more, muted, a little bit muted, okay, it still grew about close to 4%. All right. So one of the key things is that today, the demand for the HDBs, right, the resale HDBs remain actually very strong. But one thing that I want to share with you, actually, it should be here. If you can see here, yes, the volume actually increases, by 8.28%, totaling close to 28,000 sales. So this is for the HDB side. And today we must understand that for HDB loans, they have actually already adjusted from the loan. Okay, usually previously it was about 80% for you to actually loan. Right now it drops to 75%, which means the additional cash outlay or CPF outlay that you have for borrowing is going to be heavier. So this is also resulted in a lot of homeowners, whenever they are looking at purchasing, they are very mindful of their finances. And this goes the same for private property as well. Okay. And of course, to ease off the pressure, if you ask me, from all the HDBs, I'm sure you've been hearing a lot of all the $1 billion HDBs. The only way to curb the demand is by providing more supply. And this is what HDB has already promised, close to 100,000 units between 2001 and 2025 to launch. And I think in recent news, we also been hearing a lot of more plots of BTOs are already being released. So the question we must ask ourselves is, if let's say today you are watching this and you are a HDB homeowner, right? With more HDB supply coming into the market, what usually happen to price? All right, so we're also going to study a little bit about this of what is the projection that I see both in the HDB market as well as the private market. So of course, for private property market, the last lap was actually the cooling measures. Okay, yeah. So for the cooling measures, if you can see, the additional double of the stamp duty is not something that we all want, especially for foreigners. Okay, so the cooling measure actually curbed certain foreigners to come into the market. And that's the reason why it actually resulted in a very sharp decline. Okay, in that situation, let me see. Yeah, okay, it actually resulted in a very sharp decline in terms of foreigner purchases. And later on, I'll share with you an interesting fact that because of this and because of the 2025, we are going to see a lot more CCR projects coming to the market. What will be the change that potentially we have not seen this way in the past before? All right, I believe a big change in terms of the CCR market is coming. A big adjustment. I won't say change, a big adjustment. And this is definitely going to benefit you and me as Singaporeans and PR very shortly. And I'll explain to you all a little bit more later on. Okay, so like this, if you are seeing that the number of units from 2022 to 2024, it has actually increased, okay, almost double. So the question is, will this dampen the buyer's ability? Because from recent launches, I'm sure you all have seen that today there's still a lot of demand in the marketplace, and Singaporeans have a lot of money, okay, and their ability to actually own private property. So today, also another segment is that when interest rate drops, okay, now it's about hovering about 2.5 to 3%, depending on you're taking a fixed or a floating rate. You know, the past in 2024, when it's peaked, it was about 4.7%. So this drop in terms of interest rates plays a very huge part in terms of the demand and what the emotional state of any buyer, because everything seems to be a little bit more acceptable, and in terms of the state of the mind that, hey, interest rates comes down, my monthly mortgage is going to be more healthy, so I will be okay to purchase property. So this is usually how consumers behave, and that is why even during end of 2023, to end of 2024, when the new launches came in, it was wiped out. You know, it was, wow, everybody say it's a crazy period. It was sold out overnight. You know, that kind of situation. Then it strikes off. Everybody is like, is this really what's happening? Is this happening again? Especially if you're on the sidelines. All right, you're watching this. You're like, what is going on? And if today you are buying the property and you miss out launch after launch because of your queue and ballot number, you will become more FOMO okay, later on, definitely. So the question is, what what effect does this has on pricing moving forward? Okay, we really have to study this. So the question we always ask ourselves is, who is actually buying them? Okay, so later on I'll be sharing with you. Sorry about this. We're going to show you where the demand is really coming in from, in very specific way, and it's not what you think, because we are on the ground. I have a real ground data, real ground experience to share with you where the demand is really coming in, and that could give you another perspective of how property are being seen. Okay, so of course, for the article, it also shows a little bit of the uh, aging population situation. So some of this information, like for example, the rising of singles. So when we are having aging population, which means also a lot of the older generations, maybe they are staying put. So this may result in what? The supply, which is why the last 2 years you can see there's very minimum resale supply in the marketplace. One is due to aging population. Another one is also due to what? Their replacement cost. Today, I bought my property maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Today, you ask me to sell my property and buy a new one, which is smaller, more expensive. How do I take it? All right, so there's this situation that's happening in the marketplace. And the second, from the article, with more singles, it also contributes to what? How you're going to plan for your property journey. Okay, why? With more singles, which means the sizes of the unit can be smaller. Uh, they no need to go for bigger units, and that is also one of the key indicator to us for us to actually buy properties. And if let's say we're looking in a midterm investment horizon, right? What kind of property we should go for? Should we go for the big ones? Because a lot of people are saying, oh, let's go for the big ones. But let's not discount away the smaller ones like the one plus study or even the two bedrooms. All right. Will there still be a high demand for it moving forward because of this single situation and lower birth rates that we all know? There is definitely going to be still a high demand for the one plus study, even the two bedrooms. So don't discount that, provided, of course, you dive in deeper in terms of prices. All right. So this is, I think, very important in terms of the issue for the prices. So the question is, will prices continue to uh, kind of drop? Okay, will prices kind of drop? And if you can see from here, the demographic, right? Okay, let's just do this a little bit. So from 2020, right, you can see later on I'll explain to you a little bit more, but I just want to show you how the graph of this works. So this is in 2020 where you have majority of them in the 30s and 40s range. And then when it's 2024, suddenly you can see a lot of them becomes the 50s and 60s range. So this is very important for us to understand in terms of our aging population, you see. So question is, will price drop anytime soon? Many people expect a correction. And here's what is also happening, okay, which is, let me show you all. So while the situation is that everybody is thinking, oh, because of all this aging population, you know, there's less birth rate, there will be not enough people who buy property. All right, so then there will be this other Straits Time article that also says that, hey, today, even though this is happening, income is rising. Okay, the income is rising. And from here, you can see that the numbers, what are they telling us? The income household, okay, household income rose from in 2024. And for the last 3 years, it has crossed the 10,000 mark. Okay, 10,000 mark until now, the highest, close to 12,000. Okay, already close to 12,000. So this is what is actually happening. And I believe one of the key things that if you can look at this, right, is that what they mentioned, let me see, yeah. So what they mentioned here is that the medium household has already crossed the mark. Okay, has already crossed it. And then today, what is the twist? Okay, what is the twist of this situation happening? So does higher incomes does higher income necessarily make property prices cheaper? We have to ask ourselves is, now you have a higher capability of owning a property, you have higher borrowing power. Does it mean that you will go for you were not willing to pay for a property? So in a nutshell, more income equals stronger demand for houses, definitely. And then when there's more demand, will prices remain higher when there's a lack of supply in the marketplace? All right, so this is something that I want to address in today's video. And I just really want you guys to kind of understand this a little bit from the context of these two articles. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, do so. And I will be guiding you through if you need any help for property matters. So about what is happening in the various markets. So I'm going to touch on HDBs and then private market. So HDBs, of course, it has rose significantly ever since the last major cooling measures, which is in 2013. So every other year when it comes in, you can see that the property price index year on year change has been very healthy. And in 2024, it has a very high jump because why? The lack of supply in the marketplace also moved a lot of homeowners to buy the HDB market. All right, so today what you are seeing is this is how we are seeing in terms of HDB price index. Today we are already at the peak in terms of the home prices. Will they continue to go up? Of course, nobody can tell for sure. But I will believe that today, being a HDB is an affordable housing, is a public housing, the government will be very careful treading this to ensure that the prices don't go overboard. So today, even if you are seeing a lot of HDB news about $1 million HDBs and all this, you may say that, wow, that means my prices can continue to go up. But from a affordable housing perspective, right, it's really not a good news, because previously it did happen before in 2013. When prices went up a little bit too crazy, cooling measures was implemented, and then for the next 7 to 8 years, right, prices for HDBs came down and was muted all the way for 7 to 8 years. So ask yourself, if let's say today you are owning a HDB during that time, even though you have the needs, you have the wants, you wanted to upgrade, you wanted to change your property, you may not do so because it's a negative sale in terms of your property. So you will hold on that thought and then say, okay lah, my property never grow, never make money, then I don't do it lah. Then you wait for 7 to 8 years. So right now we are in this cycle where things start to go up again, and ask yourself this question: what will you do next? Are you still holding on to it, or thinking otherwise, that, oh, prices are a little bit too high right now, I think I should wait for it to come down more? I mean, not necessary, because today, if let's say prices come down, your actual value of the property also drops. So although we are looking at a lower resale volume transactions, okay, although we are looking at that, but the key thing is that the spike in terms of HDB $1 million are, to me, I find that it's a worrying factor. Or the number of HDBs is 1.73 million. There will be so many more HDBs out there that has crossed the $1 million mark. So I want to make a guess how many HDBs are actually being sold for $1 million. I want to make a guess. Make a guess, just put inside a comment if you know the numbers or you want to make a wild guess. So let me share with you the numbers on a year-on-year basis. So this is a record number of $1 million HDB flats in 2024. It's crossing 1,000 units. Can you believe 1,000 HDBs out there? Although, of course, in comparison, it's still a very small number. Hey, but it has never happened before, right? You can see all the way from 2020, right? The jump in terms of the $1 million flats, HDBs, are crazy. The question is, who is actually buying all these HDBs? So later on at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you the demand. Why are there so much demand, even for HDB homeowners, to buy this kind of $1 million HDB? Because you need to know, to be relevant as a homeowner, you need to understand what is happening to the marketplace. All right, so this is what is happening in HDB. And let's move on to private. So private, again, the last major adjustment that we are seeing is, of course, back in 2013 when cooling measures. That's why negative. But as per private market, it's not only just fueled by the general economy, but Singapore economy as well. Okay, later on, I'll share with you through a chart to explain better. So whenever there's a certain growth in terms of a price index, just take note. Okay, so this is a guideline. Whenever the government sees that our price index on a year-on-year basis is reaching the double digit or close to double digit, that's when they will slap in cooling measures. So you have seen it happening in 2021. Okay, you have seen it even in 2023, because all these are creeping up to what? To the double digit growth. All right, so we have seen it even in 2018 as well. So the tip of the matter is the government is always trying to keep our price index single digit. Okay, the smaller the better. That means the government is not trying to crash the market, but they want a very gradual growth, percentage on percentage every single year. So if we put it onto a chart, right, you can see that right now where we are, the property prices since Q4 of 2024 has really gone up about 2.3%. So what is the worrying factor that we all have in property? Is we are worried about this. Agree? We're all worried about this kind of red color drop. Wow, Asia financial crisis dropped 40%, and then we are worried about .com SARS situation where it dropped 20%, and we are also worried about global financial crisis later. If I buy already, tomorrow this happened, prices drop 25%, or even a major cooling measures that drop about 11.6%. So this is what we are all concerned about. But one thing I want to draw your attention is you also need to look at the rebound. Okay, even though Asia financial crisis dropped 40%, it actually rebounded in a very quick manner in 6 quarters of another 40%. .com SARS period, same thing. It went up close to 58%. And global financial crisis, it came down 25%, but the prices went up 62%. Okay. And this is the reason why in 2013, government came in our infamous cooling measure. Okay, infamous cooling measure. Why? Because prices went up 62 over percent. Even though if you see all this yellow line, all these are what? These are all previously cooling measures that the government is already trying to curb them. Because there was a lot of speculation going on. And when the global financial came in, everybody is like fanatic. Okay, some lose money, some went bankrupt, and then there were crazy buying in the marketplace. So it went pushes out the prices. So there was a lot of FOMO also at the same time. But any of the cooling measures done been since 2009 has no effect until 2013. The 2013 cooling measures has direct impact in terms of affordability, our borrowing ability. All right, so that's why all the TDSR, LTV, all these things comes in to curb our borrowing. Okay, we need to have more down payment. If you have no money, don't even think about property anymore. So these are all what is happening. And ever since cooling measures, you can see our drop is only 11.6%. If you do a very drastic comparison to the past, the cooling measures has a very minimum impact. Of course, we cannot say no impact. The impact is minimum. But what is interesting is because of these cooling measures that the government has implemented, it resulted in people more careful in terms of their purchase, also very aware of their finances before they enter the market. So today, I want you all to draw a line here because anything before 2013 situation is already super outdated. If you are still very concerned about looking at this before 2013 time and then you start seeing, oh, I shouldn't enter into property because I'm worried all this thing will happen, you really need to erase that away to have a very clear understanding what is happening. Because of cooling measures, it has direct impact of our affordability. And today, whatever happens right now, the buyers are not speculative. The buyers have the ability to buy. They have the down payment. They can loan. And I will show you later on in the video why do I say so. Okay, where the demand is. So moving forward, if you can see, even though cooling measures has a direct impact, about 11.6%, after that, what happened? It rebounded back. It rebounded back close to the 10% mark very quickly in very short period of time. So the government then after that, of course, thinking that, hey, things get a little bit heated up, they want to cool it down. But this time around, when they cool it down, it's only 0.7%. Very minimum. But do you see what happened next? The jump. Oops, use a different color. You can see the climb. The climb went up more than the drop in shorter period of time. Okay, the drop is actually very short. Then the climb actually went up higher. And again, government came in minus 1%. And this is when COVID happens, right? Boom, everything went up. So again, I also want to address something that everybody has been talking about, like, oh, the prices for the last couple of years went up because of COVID. It's not only because of COVID. Okay, we have another different set of research that we have that is not just about COVID. Okay, but COVID did add on additional percentage in terms of your capital, in terms of your growth potential. But it's not only because of COVID prices went up. Okay, that is really anybody anyhow say lah. Okay, but we have data to back it up that yes, COVID did help to kind of speed up in terms of your growth, but it's not the only only indicator why our property prices increase. Okay, so you can see now COVID push up, and of course the supply and situation push up the prices to even 28.1%. And after even government try to implement so many different cooling measures, the impact is very minimum. So one thing I always share Singaporean actually very smart one. We have a lot of cash, a lot of liquidity. We do a lot of different investments. So today we do have the means to buy one property, two property, or even three properties, some even under trust. And we have seen this day in and out in Singapore when we are on the ground. So the drop is so minimum and it's so short. But the rebound, wow, the rebound is different. The rebound is so much faster. So this is something that I believe that today you need to really understand a little bit more, because what happened in 1997, 2008, even COVID, everybody expected the prices to really come down quite a fair bit, especially for COVID, right? You know, it did not, but instead prices surged instead. All right, so there are some fundamentals that I share in my other master classes about what are the fundamentals we should look at in property. So if you're also interested in looking into, okay, how do I study property? How do I enter and exit? You may want to find me somewhere and you can reach out to us for our masterclass that we run regularly online. Okay, so what's the difference between now? Because Singapore prices right now is really backed up by very strong fundamentals. Okay, fundamentals meaning our cooling measures, our kind of equations. Okay, we are no longer in a very speculative market. The rising incomes are also a fact, and most importantly, is the government policies is kind of building a property bubble around us. But this bubble, right, is to protect us. Okay, it's not to burst. It's really to protect us so that every single household in Singapore we can have home ownership. And we are the highest number of home ownership in the entire world. We are one of the highest, if not the highest. And that, I believe this is what constitutes to what? A very stable demand. Because we're all doing merry-go-round, ma. You sell to me, I sell to them. And then how do Singapore actually look into growing this demand? This is where later on we will study a little bit more important. Okay, so Singapore not very big. So we must understand that today with land scarcity, Singapore is not big. We are fixed. So we can also reclaim land, but reclaim land how much? It will not be extremely big. So with a very land scarce situation, but we need to have a lot more population of demand to continue keep our economy rising, then what will happen? With low supply, what happened, and a very strong demand, what will happen to price? So you must really study this from a very data research driven perspective and not just rely on, oh, the article say this, article say this. I mean, today you can hear the article say that the property market is good. Then 2 days later, they say the property market is not so good. Sometimes it's also confusing. Okay, so this is of course a breakdown of how the property prices in terms of every single segment, because private property do consist of landed, non-landed, and in the different zones. Also, you can see this projection. And in terms of the sales of the prices in terms of year-on-year growth, the prices for CCR has gone up to almost, it has came down about 6.6%. And this is also one of the reasons why in my separate video that I'll be doing is I'm going to touch on a little bit of what are the opportunities in CCR that as for us as Singaporeans, generally we avoid. Okay, how many of you want to really go through and want to find out more about this video? You all must subscribe to the video. Okay, subscribe to the channel, or you all can just reach out to me. I can share with you a little bit more before even the video is out. Okay, and because of this drop in terms of price index, is also an indicator for us when we are doing our research. All right, but that says there's a lot more components that we look at because CCR is a totally different market, and OCR and CCR and RCR has been getting the what do you call it attention attention for the last couple of years, and that is also the reason why you can see that the growth of the percentage is much higher in general. Okay, so one key thing is that then how is the new launch property market going? A lot of us, we may have the misconception that prices are so high, the market is so like very volatile, and with the high interest rates, even at 3%, a lot lesser people will buy property. Okay, but not so real when you pull out the data. Okay, actually in 2024, fourth quarter, it actually is one of the highest in terms of purchase. Okay, these are all on a quarter-to-quarter basis. Okay, even in good times, you have never seen such a number that is so much higher. The question is why? Okay, if you ask me, the drop in terms of interest rates, okay, in terms of interest rate percentage, is a very huge indicator that buyers are very comfortable now that they can accept. There's two thoughts. Okay, one is they can manage the finances, meaning, oh, now it came down to about 3%, I can afford. Okay, that's one side of story. The other side of story, which is very common for properties, is we accept the fact that interest rate is going to be like this after 6 months, 3 months, 1 year. All right, so this has happened many times, especially during cooling measures period, right? Where cooling measures came out. I remember during that time, I was supposed to buy a second property, and when the cooling measures slept with ABSD, I was like, don't buy lah. Property prices, government will change the rule, will remove the ABSD one. How many of you got think that way? Okay, so whenever there's something, a new policy comes in, we always have this wishful and hopeful find. Then you hope that they come down. Lor. But have we ever have a cooling measures that came down or removed one? Don't have it. The more they add on, the harder it becomes for us to buy property. Agree? So this is the same thing when the interest rate situation. So on one end, yes, we may be able to afford it, but on the other end, it's like, I cannot wait anymore because I see the prices keep going up. So for me to pay that difference of 1% or 2% of property interest, right, and the prices went up 20%, I think it's a very no-brainer why they are starting to come into the marketplace back in 2024 and okay, it's a really a very big indicator and signal of what is happening. So this is why we are saying that now in 2025 moving forward, how are you able to track this market? And something I always share with my clients in our private consult is the higher the price is, the more we have to be more careful. Okay, the more we be careful about it. Not that we can reduce 100% risk. Nobody can do that. If somebody do that, you better run far, far away. Okay, but we can reduce this risk by putting in more parameters to look at, to study a little bit better. The last thing you want is you buy the property already, then you start looking at the numbers. I think that is very unfortunate. That's one. Another set of equation is you have to blame yourself lah, or to, no choice. Okay, I mean I know it's a harsh word, but you have to blame yourself. Why? Because there are data available. There are people that you all can reach out to, but you all chose to rely on your own guessing, which is that's why you need to what? You need to take on this responsibility of holding to the property for a longer time, perhaps. So we are not saying that we are able to help you to reduce totally zero risk. It's almost impossible. But what if you have somebody who can kind of guide you through different parameters to start looking things clearer before you make a decision? Wouldn't it help you to support some of the thoughts that you have? All right. So this is why I always constantly do videos in this channel. It's really to kind of empower you and provide you the knowledge gap that you couldn't be seeing it or learning from outside because they won't share with you so much detail, right? And in our personal one-on-one consult, that's where we get even more details because we are going to personalize a property journey plan for you. How do you enter? How do you exit? There's so much things more. All right, so this is very important. So do look into a bigger context. And this is why just now I was sharing, I do see a huge adjustment moving forward in this year's CCR market. So one thing we all know when the cooling measures in 2023 kind of stopped the entire foreigner market to come into Singapore because slapping with 60% is no joke. So there are a few contexts that I see from here, which maybe you all can also share with me your views. Why government is doing all this. Of course, these are all my personal views and my personal take. Okay, it has nothing to do with speculation, but based on the research that we've done, it seems that this is the way that they are going to happen. So for all the while, actually, a lot of us, we may think that foreigners are the main purchasers in Singapore. Sorry to tell you, these are all speculations. These are all your wishful thinking. Singapore are still general very much handled by Singaporeans and PR in terms of percentage. So all the way from 2010, you can see the amount of percentage of home ownerships are more than 70% every time by locals, Singaporeans and PR, by locals. The foreigners are very, if you look at this, it's very minimum. And it gets lesser and lesser until you can see even after 2000, it's in the 4%, 3% kind of rate. So the numbers are not going to be the crazy factors, right, that pushes our prices up. There's always this saying, no lah, the foreigners are buying lah, that's why our prices so high. But this percentage, is it really going to affect our overall prices in Singapore? See, so this is where research and knowledge comes in. If not, you will always think otherwise. But what is going to happen in 2022? What happened in 2024 is the numbers dropped to even what? 1.4% because of the ABSD of 60%. So this is really a strategy that, if you ask me, to stabilize our property market, that's one. But yet, the market in Singapore for property is still seen as a very doable approach. Okay, it's still acceptable. Prices are not crazy. It's still stabilized, and that's how we start looking at it. And with this fewer foreigners buying property in Singapore. I will share more in my next video why this has a huge impact for us in the following 2025 the new launches. Okay, this has a direct impact, and I will share this, do more research. So if you really want to understand how you may potentially have an opportunity to buy CCR properties for the lifetime that you wanted to, but prices was too high, this may be your only chance to enter into CCR. Okay, all right, so I will share with you all more in the next video. So do scan the QR code if you are really kind of in doubt and you really want to seek a second opinion. Do reach out because we have quite a fair bit of land sales also in the CCR market, and that's where we are able to kind of get you through along the way.